I still remember the moment our scanners detected the signal buried beneath the asteroid's crust, a frequency older than our species, older than every star chart ever drawn. The control room buzzed with unease as I stared at the readings, a soft cry in the void that beckoned us closer. I should have turned back. I should have warned them. But instead, I touched it. Before I go on, tell me in the comments which city you're watching from. I want to know how far my story travels across the stars. The light of the control room felt colder that day. My hands trembled as I activated the ship's interface, the glow of the holographic display illuminating the faces of my crew. They looked to me for guidance, their eyes wide with a mixture of curiosity and trepidation. I could feel the weight of their expectations pressing down on my shoulders, heavy like the void outside our ship. The silence of space enveloped us, a blanket of blackness punctuated only by the distant twinkling of stars, each one a silent witness to our impending fate. The asteroid field lay before us, a chaotic dance of rock and debris, remnants of a time long forgotten. Our ship, the Celestial Voyager, glided through the treacherous terrain with practiced ease, but even the most skilled navigators could not predict what lay ahead. The signal pulsed like a heartbeat, drawing us in, whispering secrets that felt both familiar and alien. I knew then that this was no ordinary discovery. As we approached the source, the asteroid's surface shimmered with an ethereal glow, casting an eerie light across the control room. I felt a shiver run down my spine, a primal instinct screaming at me to turn back. Yet the allure of the unknown tugged at me, urging me to press forward. The crew was restless, their chatter rising and falling like the swell of cosmic waves. I could sense their excitement mingling with fear, a potent cocktail that fueled our collective desire for exploration. I glanced at my first officer, Mira, her brow furrowed in concentration as she monitored the ship's systems. "Captain, are you sure about this?" she asked, her voice steady but laced with concern. "We can't ignore it," I replied, trying to sound more confident than I felt. "This signal, it could change everything we know about our past." Mira nodded, but I could see the doubt lingering in her eyes. The rest of the crew had fallen silent, their gazes fixed on the display as the signal intensified, its cadence quickening like a call to arms. I felt the pull of destiny, a gravitational force that demanded we answer. As we landed on the asteroid's surface, the ship shuddered, and a low hum resonated through the metal hull. I stepped onto the rocky ground, my boots crunching against the debris, and felt the weight of the cosmos pressing down on me. The air was thick with anticipation, a tension that crackled like static electricity. I could almost hear the whispers of long-lost civilizations echoing in the silence, urging me to uncover the truth buried beneath the surface. The artifact lay before us, half buried in the asteroid's crust, its surface glistening as if it had absorbed the light of 1,000 stars. I approached cautiously, my heart racing as I reached out to touch it. The moment my fingers made contact, a surge of energy coursed through me, igniting every nerve ending in my body. It was as if the universe had opened its arms and embraced me, revealing secrets that had been hidden for eons. I closed my eyes, overwhelmed by the flood of emotions that washed over me. Memories not my own flashed before my mind's eye, faces of people I had never met, their names echoing in the recesses of my consciousness. I gasped, pulling my hand back as the vision faded, leaving me breathless. "What was that?" Mira's voice broke through the haze, her eyes wide with disbelief. "I don't know," I admitted, shaking off the remnants of the experience. But it felt significant. The crew gathered around me, their expressions a mix of awe and apprehension. The artifact pulsed rhythmically, a heartbeat in the darkness, and I could feel the weight of its presence pressing down on us. It was a relic of a civilization long gone, a testament to a time when knowledge flowed like water and curiosity was revered. But now, in the cold embrace of space, it lay dormant, waiting for someone to awaken it. As I stepped back, the atmosphere shifted. The air crackled with energy, and I could sense a change in the environment. It was as if the very fabric of reality was shifting, responding to our presence. I glanced at the crew, their faces illuminated by the artifacts below, and I felt a surge of responsibility wash over me. We had stumbled upon something monumental, and I knew we had to tread carefully. "Let's set up a perimeter," I instructed, my voice steady despite the turmoil within. "We need to understand what we're dealing with before we proceed." The crew moved quickly, their training kicking in as they established a safe zone around the artifact. I watched them work, a mix of pride and fear swelling in my chest. We were explorers, yes, but we were also custodians of knowledge, and with that came an obligation to protect what we uncovered. As the sun set on the distant horizon of the asteroid, casting long shadows across the rocky terrain, I felt a profound sense of isolation. The stars twinkled above us, indifferent to our plight, and I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched. The universe was vast and uncaring, yet here we were, a small band of explorers seeking answers in the darkness. The night deepened, and the artifact continued to pulse, casting an otherworldly glow that illuminated our faces. I gathered the crew around me, their expressions a mixture of excitement and trepidation. "We've uncovered something extraordinary," I began, my voice steady. "But we must remember that knowledge comes with a price. We don't yet understand the power of this relic, or the implications of awakening it." Mira nodded, her gaze fixed on the artifact. "What if it's dangerous?" she asked, her voice barely above a whisper. "Then we'll face it together," I replied, my heart pounding with determination. "But we owe it to ourselves, and to those who came before us, to seek the truth." As the crew murmured in agreement, I felt a flicker of hope ignite within me. Perhaps we were destined to uncover the mysteries of the cosmos, to bridge the gap between the past and the present. But deep down, I couldn't shake the feeling that our discovery would come at a cost. The hours passed in a blur, each moment steeped in anticipation. We conducted scans, analyzed data, and debated the implications of our findings. Yet, despite our efforts, the artifact remained an enigma, its secrets locked away like a treasure hidden beneath layers of time. As I lay in my quarters that night, staring at the ceiling, I couldn't help but wonder about the voices I had heard. The names that echoed in my mind felt like a haunting melody, a reminder of the countless lives that had come before me. Who were they? What stories did they hold? And why had the universe chosen me to uncover their legacy? I drifted into a restless sleep, the echoes of the past swirling around me like a tempest. In my dreams, I saw flashes of light and shadow, glimpses of civilizations rising and falling, their names forever etched in the annals of time. I awoke with a start, the weight of the universe pressing down on me, and I knew that we were on the precipice of something monumental. The next day, as the sun rose over the asteroid, casting a warm glow across the rocky landscape, I gathered the crew once more. "Today, we delve deeper," I announced, my voice steady despite the uncertainty that loomed ahead. "We will awaken the artifact." A murmur of excitement rippled through the group, but I could sense the undercurrent of fear that accompanied it. "We will awaken the artifact." A murmur of excitement rippled through the group, but I could sense the undercurrent of fear that accompanied it. We were stepping into the unknown, and with each passing moment, the stakes grew higher. As we prepared for the awakening, I felt a sense of foreboding settle over me. The universe was vast and indifferent, but it was also filled with mysteries waiting to be unraveled. And as we stood on the brink of discovery, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were about to unleash forces beyond our comprehension. With a deep breath, I approached the artifact once more. The crew watched with bated breath, their eyes filled with a mix of awe and apprehension. I reached out, my fingers trembling as I made contact once again. The moment I touched it, a surge of energy coursed through me, and the world around me faded away. I was no longer just an explorer. I was a vessel for the voices of the past, a conduit for the stories that had been waiting to be told. And as the artifact awakened, I felt the universe shift around us, a cosmic dance of power and knowledge that would forever change the course of our lives. In that moment, I understood that we were not just uncovering a relic, we were answering a call that had echoed through the void for centuries, a call that knew every human name ever lived on Earth. The moment the artifact awakened, the air around us electrified, crackling with an energy that felt alive. I could see it in the eyes of my crew, a mix of awe and terror reflected back at me. It was as if we had opened a door to an unseen realm, one that had been locked away for eons. The control panel flickered wildly, the screens displaying erratic data that made no sense. I felt a shiver run down my spine, the weight of what we had unleashed settling heavily upon my shoulders. Status report. I barked, forcing myself to maintain a semblance of control. My voice echoed in the cramped confines of the ship, a stark reminder of our isolation in the vastness of space. The crew scrambled to respond, fingers flying over keyboards, eyes darting between screens. "Captain, we're experiencing severe fluctuations in the ship's systems," said Talia, our engineer, her voice strained. "The engines are—" Before she could finish, the ship lurched violently, throwing us against our harnesses. Alarms blared, a cacophony of warning sirens that pierced through the chaos. I gripped the edge of my console, fighting to steady myself as the ship swayed like a leaf caught in a storm. "Stabilize the ship," I shouted, my heart racing. "We need to regain control." As Talia and the others worked feverishly, I glanced out the viewport. What I saw sent a chill through my bones. The fabric of space itself seemed to ripple, as if the universe were reacting to the awakening of the artifact. Stars flickered and dimmed, their light swallowed by an expanding darkness that coiled around us like a serpent. "Captain, we're losing power," Talia's voice trembled, cutting through my thoughts. "The core is destabilizing." I felt a surge of panic rise within me. The knowledge we had sought so desperately now felt like a curse. The artifact, once a beacon of hope, had become a harbinger of doom. I had led us to this moment, and the weight of that realization pressed down on me like a black hole, threatening to consume everything I held dear. "Divert all power to stabilizers," I commanded, my voice steady despite the turmoil inside. "We need to hold this position until we can figure out what's happening." The crew worked in unison, their determination palpable even in the face of impending disaster. I could see the sweat glistening on their brows, the tension etched on their faces. We were explorers, yes, but we were also human, and the fear of the unknown hung heavily in the air. Then, without warning, a blinding flash erupted from the artifact, illuminating the control room in an otherworldly glow. I shielded my eyes, feeling the heat radiate from the core of the ship. The light pulsed with a rhythm that resonated deep within me, a heartbeat echoing through the void. "Captain, the artifact is—" Talia began, but her voice was drowned out by the roar of energy surging through the ship. I felt the ground beneath me tremble, and then, in an instant, everything went silent. The alarm ceased, the lights dimmed, and for a brief moment, I thought we had crossed into another realm entirely. "Status report," I demanded, my voice echoing in the eerie stillness. "Systems are stabilizing," Talia replied slowly, her eyes wide with disbelief. "But the readings? They're off the charts. I've never seen anything like this." I turned my gaze back to the viewport, my heart pounding in my chest. Outside, the darkness had coalesced into a swirling mass, tendrils of energy reaching out like fingers, grasping at the stars. It was as if the universe itself was alive, responding to our intrusion. "Prepare for maneuvers," I said, my voice steadying as I fought to regain control of my thoughts. "We need to get out of here, now." But as I spoke, a new wave of energy surged from the artifact, and I felt it wash over me, a soft cry that echoed in my mind. It was a voice, familiar yet distant, calling out from the depths of time. I staggered back, clutching my head, as memories flooded in, names, faces, stories of lives long past. "Captain," Talia's voice broke through the haze, "we're being pulled in." I looked up, and my breath caught in my throat. The ship was moving, drawn toward the artifact like a moth to a frame. Panic surged through me as I fought against the controls, but it was futile. The energy enveloped us, and I felt a sense of surrender wash over me. "Hold on," I shouted, bracing for impact as the ship hurtled toward the artifact. The world around us exploded in light, and I felt myself being torn apart, stretched across the fabric of existence. It was a sensation unlike anything I had ever experienced, a merging of consciousness, a glimpse into the infinite. I saw civilizations rise and fall, their names whispered on the winds of time. And then, just as suddenly as it had begun, it was over. I gasped for air, my heart racing as I blinked against the harsh light of the control room. My crew was scattered, some still strapped into their seats, others on the floor, disoriented and dazed. "Report," I croaked, forcing myself to focus. Talia shook her head, her eyes wide with shock. We're still intact, Captain, but the artifact, it's changed." I turned my gaze to the viewport, my breath hitching in my throat. The artifact pulsed with a new energy, an ethereal glow that filled the space around us. It was beautiful and terrifying, a beacon of knowledge that beckoned to us. But as I stared into the depths of its light, I felt a sense of dread settle over me. The universe was vast and indifferent, yet it was also filled with mysteries waiting to be unraveled, and we had just scratched the surface. "Captain," Talia said, her voice trembling, "what do we do now?" I took a deep breath, steeling myself for what lay ahead. "We need to understand it," I said, my voice steady. "We need to know what we've awakened." As we gathered ourselves, I felt the weight of the universe pressing down on me. The artifact held secrets that could change everything we knew about our existence. But with that knowledge came a responsibility, a burden I was not sure I was ready to bear. "Let's analyze the data," I said, my mind racing. "We need to find out what this energy is and how it affects us." The crew nodded, their determination renewed. We began to sift through the readings, the screens flickering with data that seemed to pulse with life. I felt a connection to the artifact, a thread that tied me to the names I had heard, the stories that had echoed in my mind. As we worked, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were being watched, by the artifact, by the universe itself. It was as if the cosmos had set its gaze upon us, waiting to see what we would do next. Hours passed, or maybe it was days. Time felt distorted in the presence of the artifact. We analyzed every data point, every fluctuation in energy. Yet, despite our efforts, the artifact remained an enigma, its secrets locked away like a treasure hidden beneath layers of time. Then, just as I began to lose hope, a breakthrough occurred. "Captain, look at this!" Talia exclaimed, her voice filled with excitement. "The energy readings are stabilizing. It's as if the artifact is responding to our presence." I leaned closer to the screen, my heart racing. The data showed a pattern, a rhythm that seemed to pulse in sync with our own heartbeat. It was as if the artifact was alive, aware of us, and eager to communicate. "What does it mean?" I asked, my voice barely above a whisper. I think it's trying to tell us something," Talia replied, her eyes shining with wonder. "It's like a language, a call from the past." As I stared at the screen, I felt the weight of the universe pressing down on me. The names I had heard echoed in my mind once more, a chorus of voices urging me to listen, to understand. I closed my eyes, allowing the energy to wash over me, and in that moment, I felt a connection to every human who had ever lived, a tapestry of existence woven through time. "Captain," Talia said, her voice breaking through my reverie, "we need to make a decision. This artifact, it could change everything." I opened my eyes, the enormity of our discovery crashing over me like a tidal wave. We stood on the precipice of knowledge, but with that knowledge came a choice that could alter the course of our lives and the fate of the universe. "Prepare to initiate communication," I said, my voice steady. "We need to reach out to it, to understand what it wants from us." As the crew worked to set up the communication system, I felt a sense of purpose ignite within me. We were explorers, yes, but we were also part of something greater, a continuum of existence that transcended time and space. The artifact was not just a relic, it was a bridge to our past, a connection to every name that had ever been spoken. "Are you ready, Captain?" Talia asked, her eyes filled with anticipation. I nodded, my heart pounding in my chest. Let's do this. As the communication system came online, I felt a wave of energy wash over me. The artifact pulsed with light, and I closed my eyes, allowing myself to be enveloped by its warmth. "Can you hear us?" I spoke, my voice steady. "We seek to understand you." For a moment, there was silence. And then, the artifact responded. A soft cry echoed in my mind, a voice that resonated with the very essence of existence. I felt the names wash over me once more, a tide of memories and stories that transcended time. And in that moment, I understood. The artifact was not just a relic, it was a repository of every human name ever lived on Earth, a collective memory of existence itself. As I opened my eyes, I felt a sense of clarity wash over me. We were not alone in this vast universe. We were part of a greater tapestry, woven together by the threads of our shared history. "Captain," Talia said, her voice trembling with excitement, "it's working! The artifact is responding!" I felt a surge of hope as I looked around at my crew, their faces illuminated by the glow of the artifact. We had taken the first step toward understanding the mysteries of the cosmos, and I knew that whatever lay ahead, we would face it together. But as the energy swirled around us, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were not the only ones interested in the artifact. The universe was vast and filled with dangers, and I feared that we had awakened something that should have remained asleep. "Stay vigilant," I warned, my voice steady. "We don't know what else might be drawn to this energy." As we continued our communication with the artifact, I felt a sense of purpose ignite within me. We were explorers, yes, but we were also guardians of knowledge, protectors of the stories that had shaped our existence. And as we delved deeper into the mysteries of the artifact, I knew that we were on the brink of something monumental. But with that knowledge came a responsibility, a burden I was not sure I was ready to bear. The universe was vast and indifferent, yet it was also filled with mysteries waiting to be unraveled. And as we stood on the edge of discovery, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were about to unleash forces beyond our comprehension. The artifact pulsed with energy, and I felt a connection to every name that had ever been spoken. A reminder that we were not just explorers, but part of a larger narrative that spanned the cosmos. And as we forged ahead, I knew that whatever lay ahead, we would face it together, united by the stories that had brought us to this moment. I drifted in the silence that followed the artifact's revelation, the weight of its knowledge pressing down on me like the cold vacuum of space. The hum of the ship's engines faded into a distant murmur, leaving only the echoes of the names reverberating in my mind. Each name was a story, a life lived, a heartbeat that once pulsed with dreams and fears. I felt the enormity of our existence, the interconnectedness of every human soul that had ever walked the earth. Yet, as profound as that realization was, it brought with it an overwhelming sense of isolation. Here I was, surrounded by my crew, yet I felt like a ghost drifting through a gallery of memories. I could sense their excitement, their eagerness to explore the depths of this newfound knowledge, but I remained anchored in my own introspection. The artifact had awakened something deep within me, a longing to understand not just the cosmos, but my place within it. "Captain," Talia's voice broke through my reverie, her eyes wide with wonder, "we need to harness this power. Imagine the possibilities. We could unlock the secrets of the universe." Her enthusiasm was infectious, but I couldn't shake the feeling of trepidation that coiled around my heart. "Talia, we don't fully understand what we're dealing with. This artifact, it's not just a tool, it's a legacy, a burden." "But it's our legacy too," she insisted, her passion igniting a flicker of hope within me. "We have to learn from it. We can't let fear dictate our actions." I nodded slowly, torn between the desire to explore and the instinct to protect. The universe had shown us its beauty, but it had also revealed its darkness. I could feel the weight of responsibility pressing down on me, a reminder that every choice we made could ripple through time and space. As I gazed at the artifact, its light pulsing softly, I began to understand that it wasn't just a relic of the past. It was a bridge to our future, a connection to the countless lives that had come before us. The names it held were not merely echoes, they were the foundation of our humanity, a testament to our resilience and our capacity for love and loss. "Let's begin," I said, my voice steady, though my heart raced. "We'll start by mapping the energy signatures. If we can understand how the artifact interacts with the fabric of space, we might uncover its true potential." The crew sprang into action, their excitement palpable as they worked together to analyze the data streaming from the artifact. I watched them, feeling a surge of pride mixed with anxiety. We were explorers, yes, but we were also pioneers standing on the precipice of the unknown. The thrill of discovery was intoxicating, yet the shadows of uncertainty loomed large. Hours passed as we delved deeper into the artifact's mysteries. Each pulse of energy revealed more about its nature, and with each revelation, I felt a growing sense of purpose. The names continued to swirl in my mind, a chorus of voices urging me to listen, to learn, to act. I realized that the artifact was not merely a repository of memories, it was a call to action, a reminder of the legacy we carried as custodians of knowledge. But as we worked, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were not alone. The universe had a way of revealing itself, and I sensed a presence lurking in the shadows, watching, waiting. It was a feeling that gnawed at the edges of my consciousness, a whisper that hinted at danger. "Captain," Jarek's voice broke through my thoughts, pulling me back to the present. "I've detected an anomaly in the energy readings." "It appears we're not the only ones responding to the artifact's activation." A chill ran down my spine. "What do you mean?" "The readings are fluctuating. There's a ship approaching, an Imperial cruiser. They're on an intercept course." Panic surged through me. The Empire had always been a looming threat, and now they were drawn to us like moths to a flame. "We need to prepare for an encounter. Talia, Jarek, initiate defensive protocols. We can't let them take the artifact." As the crew scrambled to follow my orders, I felt the weight of the moment settle heavily upon me. We were no longer just explorers. We were protectors of a legacy that transcended our understanding. The artifact had awakened something within us, and now we had to defend it against those who sought to exploit its power. The ship shuddered as the Imperial cruiser drew closer, its ominous silhouette cutting through the stars. I could feel the tension in the air, a palpable energy that crackled with anticipation. My heart raced as I took my position at the helm, staring into the void where the enemy ship loomed. "Captain, they're hailing us," Talia reported, her voice steady despite the chaos unfolding around us. "Put them through," I commanded, bracing myself for the confrontation. The screen flickered to life, revealing the stern face of an Imperial officer. "This is Commander Voss of the Imperial Fleet. You are ordered to surrender the artifact immediately. It belongs to the Empire." I met his gaze, my resolve hardening. "We won't hand it over, Commander. You have no idea what you're dealing with." "On the contrary," he replied, a smirk playing at the corners of his lips. "I know exactly what it is, a relic of unimaginable power. You've awakened forces beyond your comprehension." His words hung in the air like a dark omen, but I refused to back down. "The artifact is not a weapon. It's a testament to our shared history. We will protect it." "Then prepare for battle," he sneered, and the screen went dark. The ship jolted as the cruiser unleashed its first salvo. Alarms blared, and I felt the adrenaline surge through me. "All hands, brace for impact. Talia, return fire." The ship shook violently as we exchanged fire with the Imperial cruiser. My heart raced as I maneuvered the controls, trying to evade their shots while coordinating our own. The crew worked seamlessly, their training kicking in as we fought to protect the artifact and each other. But as the battle raged on, I couldn't shake the feeling that we were fighting against something far greater than just an Imperial fleet. The artifact pulsed with energy, and I felt its connection to the chaos unfolding around us. It was as if the universe itself was responding, drawing lines between past and present, fate and choice. "Captain, the energy readings are spiking," Jarek shouted from his station. "It's as if the artifact is reacting to the battle." "Focus on stabilizing it," I ordered, my mind racing. "We need to harness that energy. It could be our only chance." The ship shook again as another wave of fire hit us, and I felt the weight of my crew's lives resting on my shoulders. I took a deep breath, centering myself. "Talia, channel the artifact's energy into our shields. We need to protect ourselves while we figure out how to turn this around." As she worked, I could feel the pulse of the artifact resonating with the chaos outside. It was a symphony of energy, a reminder of the names and stories it held. I realized that we were not just fighting for our lives, we were fighting for every soul that had ever existed, every name that had ever been spoken. "Captain," Talia's voice broke through the din, filled with urgency. "The artifact is stabilizing. I think we can use its energy to power our weapons." "Do it," I commanded, my heart racing. "We need to turn the tide of this battle." With a surge of energy, the artifact's light intensified, filling the control room with a radiant glow. I felt a connection to every name, every story, empowering me to act. "Prepare to fire." As we unleashed the artifact's energy, it surged through our weapons, amplifying their power. The cruiser's shields flickered under the onslaught, and for the first time, I felt a glimmer of hope. "Direct hit," Jarek shouted, his voice filled with exhilaration. "They're losing power." "Keep firing," I urged, my heart pounding. The tide was turning, and I could feel the momentum shifting in our favor. With each blast, I felt the weight of the artifact's legacy urging us forward. But just as victory seemed within our grasp, a new threat emerged. The cruiser's hull began to glow with a dark energy, and I could sense a shift in the atmosphere. "What's happening?" I demanded. "The Empire is activating their own weapon," Talia replied, her voice tense. "It's drawing energy from the artifact." My heart sank as I realized the implications. The artifact's power was a double-edged sword, and the Empire was determined to harness it for their own gain. "We have to stop them. Jarek, redirect all power to the shields." As we braced for impact, I felt the weight of every name the artifact held pressing down on me. It was a reminder of our shared humanity, of the stories that had shaped our existence. I knew that whatever happened next, we had to protect that legacy. The ship shook violently as the Empire unleashed their weapon, a dark wave of energy crashing against our shields. I could feel the strain on the ship, the pressure building as we fought to hold our ground. "Hold on," I shouted, my voice rising above the chaos. "We can't let them take this from us." With a surge of determination, I reached for the controls, channeling every ounce of energy into our defenses. The artifact pulsed in response, its light illuminating the darkness around us. I could feel the names swirling in my mind, urging me to fight, to protect, to believe. "Captain," Talia shouted, her eyes wide with fear, "the shields are failing." "Redirect all power to the artifact," I commanded, my heart racing. "We have to unleash its true potential." With a final surge, I felt the energy coalesce around us, a brilliant light erupting from the artifact. It enveloped the ship, creating a barrier of pure energy that absorbed the Empire's attack. I felt a connection to every name, every story, and for a moment, I knew that we were not alone. As the light faded, I opened my eyes to find the Imperial cruiser in disarray. Their weapon had backfired, and chaos reigned on their ship. I felt a surge of triumph, but it was tinged with a deep sense of responsibility. We had won this battle, but the war was far from over. "Captain, they're retreating," Jarek exclaimed, his voice filled with disbelief. "We did it!" I took a deep breath, allowing the weight of the moment to wash over me. We had protected the artifact, but I knew that our fight was just beginning. The Empire would not give up easily, and the knowledge we had uncovered would draw them back again and again. "Prepare to follow them," I ordered, my voice steady. "We can't let them regroup. We have to ensure that this legacy remains safe." As we pursued the retreating cruiser, I felt a renewed sense of purpose. The artifact had awakened something within us, and now we had to harness that power to protect our future. I looked around at my crew, their faces illuminated by the glow of the artifact, and I realized that we were no longer just explorers. We were guardians of a legacy that transcended time and space. In the silence that followed the battle, I reflected on the names that had echoed in my mind. Each one was a reminder of the lives we had fought to protect, the stories that had shaped our existence. We were part of a greater narrative, woven together by the threads of our shared history. As we continued our journey into the unknown, I felt a sense of hope rising within me. The universe was vast and filled with mysteries waiting to be unraveled, and we were just beginning to scratch the surface. Together, we would uncover the truths that lay hidden among the stars, forging a new path for humanity. And as I gazed into the depths of space, I knew that whatever lay ahead, we would face it together, united by the names that had brought us to this moment. The artifact was not just a relic, a beacon of hope, a reminder that we were never truly alone.